And look at him go. He has broken this game open, giving them a 24-6 lead now.
I wondered where you were going with that. Well played. Marquise Law with a nice play to open up the fourth quarter. That picks up a Colorado State first down and moves the ball into Aggie territory to the 48-yard line. 24-6 is our score. 23-yard pickup by Law, a senior out of Miami. Lovett goes in motion. And that pass is caught by Kevon Cartwright, the tight end. And he's hit after a pickup of 9. Second down and 1 coming up.
Look at how nice this play looks. Grayson gets the snap. 1, 2, 3, boom. Throws the ball to his tight end down the middle. Ball's out of his hands quick. He's throwing to a reliable receiver who has been productive for them. They need a steady diet of passes to their tight ends right now.
We haven't seen too many second down and 1 situations for Colorado State. That pass is complete to Morris. And he's thrown down at the 34-yard line.
This is what we want to see. We want to see the rhythm. Look, 1, 2, 3 step, throw the ball. Get the ball out of your hand and get it into the hand of one of your playmakers, and you can do this all the way down the field. This is what the Rams need to be doing. Great play calling, great execution on those last 2 plays.
10th first down picked up by CSU, second one on the drive. First and 10 from the Aggie 34-yard line. And again, it's all about the timing. That pass complete to number 2 Kaufman. And he backs out of bounds after a gain of about 6 on the play.
You know, Bill, earlier you made the comment that Utah State was using these passes as kind of their extension of the running game. 4 yards here, 6 yards there. CSU now doing exactly the same thing. Just short passes, quick, get it out of your hand, and you've got 3 successful plays in a row.
Chris Woke up the middle, runs right into a tackler, then bounces to his right. And that might be enough for another Colorado State first down. It is.
They are racking up first downs now. It's 2 in a row, right? I mean, now they only have a deficit of like 25 compared to Utah State.
The ball at the Utah State 24-yard line. Grayson holding on to the football, sidesteps the tackler, and is able to get inside the 20 to the 19-yard line.
That's a very good play. It gained him 5 yards. Grayson on that play could have gained 5 yards for nothing. They had 12 men on the defense, and they were running a guy off. He should have just snapped the ball, get 5 easy, but look at the scrambling ability, the presence of mind, gets up the field and gets his team 5 yards.
And that pass is batted down. Woke was the intended receiver, never got there.
You know, sometimes you see veteran quarterbacks, you know, Peyton Manning with the Broncos will do that as soon as he sees the defense has 12 men on the field, it's just boom, snap the ball.
Yeah.
Give us 5 yards and we'll come back and we'll do the next thing. And so I don't think that Grayson saw the moment, but you know, he's a sophomore. Those are the things you learn as you go along. You take your 5 yards and you say 1st and 5 now.
He's playing with a lot more confidence in the second half than he did in the first half. He just did not look comfortable, looked very tentative in the first 2 quarters of play. That's Law going in. And that is Law, the intended receiver. There's contact and no flag. Nevin Lawson, the cornerback, was covering on the play. That's an advantage that Colorado State needs to take advantage of. Law goes 6'4", 215. Lawson 5'10", 185.
Yeah, I like the idea. Get him out there in man coverage and just throw the ball.
So 4th down and 5. No timeouts for Colorado State the rest of the way. They used all 3 in the 3rd quarter, and instead of settling for 3 more, Jared Roberts stays on the bench, and Colorado State's going to go for it. They need to make it to the 14-yard line. And they do. That's Law. He's got a host of Aggies holding on to him, and he's holding on to that football as he gets it inside the 10. The Aggies are unable to turn the Rams away on 4th down.
They know what they need to get. Law sits down and fights for that extra yardage, but what a big play for CSU. 4th down, critical moment, and you get your young quarterback and one of your young receivers to make a big play.
And Grayson looked off Lovett. He was the first option on that pass. Looked him off and went with Law, who was beyond the necessary yardage for the first down. Keeping it on the ground with Woke on
4 yards on the carry.
first down. He picks up 4. It's 2nd down and goal from the 5.
So McElwain seeing his crew fight back. They're not giving up in this game. They seem to be getting stronger and more confident as the plays go by.
Grayson lofts that into the end zone, and it's batted away. Good double team in the end zone by Nevin Lawson, who's back there.
That was Nevin Lawson, does a great job. He's on the outside receiver, but he drifts back into the play to help break that up. You know, he had a couple of pass breakups versus Wisconsin last week, and just good instincts to come back on the other receiver and help break up the pass.
Brian Sweet, 21, was also there. So another 3rd down and 5 for Colorado State. 3rd down and goal from the 5. Hensley, the motion man, to the left side. And Grayson, this is a design quarterback keep. He goes around the right side and then is drilled by Zach Vigil, number 53, the sophomore linebacker.
I would stop running that play. I don't think Grayson is a natural runner, and I think he's too much of the future of this organization to put him at risk like this. I think that, we've seen them run this sweep 4 or 5 times today, and it hasn't worked yet. I think I would stop running it.
I bet he would agree with you.
Grayson told the coach the same thing. Coach, don't do that to me.
Picked up a yard, 4th down and goal from the 4. To the end zone, touchdown! Dominic Vincent in the back of the end zone hauled it in on another 4th down conversion by Colorado State on this drive.
And what a rope by Grayson. Look at this pass, sees it, no hesitation, right on the money. Oh, and a great catch.
6th touchdown pass of the season by Grayson, and that is a terrific pass and a great catch by Vincent. 2nd touchdown catch of the season for him. He entered the game with 6 catches, and Colorado State, trailing at 24-12, is going to go for 2 to try to make it a touchdown and a field goal game. 10:40 left to play. Grayson sidesteps one tackler, puts it in the end zone, and that's batted away by Will Davis. And that's a failed 2-point try, and that'll leave our score. Utah State 24, Colorado State playing much better in the second half, but they still trail it by 12. With Reggie Rivers and Natalie Vickers, I'm Bill Dolman. Welcome back to Fort Collins. The Rams have made things pretty interesting here in the second half. Trailing 17-0 at halftime. The Rams have come back. And that last drive, a very impressive one. 15 plays, 75 yards. It took 5 minutes off the clock and a couple of key 4th down conversions. One to keep the drive going and the other that resulted in the touchdown. And the kickoff is fielded at the 1-yard line by Jacobs, and he's still going. He's at the 40 to the 50, and he's finally brought down from behind. Chuck Jacobs, a senior out of Richmond, California, with a big kickoff return.
From that last drive, watch Grayson. What was impressive, this is a 4th down throw, and then this throw to the end zone also on 4th down to score. 2 of his best throws of the game came on those 2 4th down plays, and I think that bodes well for the Rams going forward, that he rises to those moments, and he seemed very comfortable on those plays.
55-yard kickoff return for Chuck Jacobs to the 43-yard line, and this is Williams. He's having a career day today. Prior to that, carried 19 carries. That's a career high. 189 yards, also a career high.
Now he's over 200 yards with this. Just another big hole for him on the left side of that offensive line. And, you know, the Rams are just not playing stout enough up front. They need to have guys up front who can just hold their ground and not give up any space. Right now there's just too much movement going on.
Keaton fakes the handoff, keeps it, and picks up yardage inside the 25 to the 23-yard line. Williams now has 20 carries for 204 yards. He entered the game with 201 yards in the first 3 games of the year. So it's been a breakout game this season, for Kerwin Williams, a sophomore out of Las Vegas.
You know, and in fairness, two of those first 3 games, he was running against Utah, he was running against Wisconsin. So, you know, the running is going to be tougher. You can look at him and see the way he runs the ball. This is a kid with a lot of talent, a lot of explosion, a lot of ability. He's going to put up numbers like this against most teams that he faces.
2nd down and 5 after a 5-yard gain by Keaton. Not much on that play. And 3rd down is coming up. Williams is out of Las Vegas. His running backs coach at Utah State is Mike Sanford, who was the head football coach at UNLV for a time. Now Sanford, you backtrack in his career, he was the offensive coordinator at Utah for Urban Meyer when Utah built up its first BCS winner. That was the year that they knocked off Pittsburgh in the Fiesta Bowl. Mike Sanford, after that game, took over as the head coach at UNLV, was never able to replicate that kind of success with the Rebels. He was let go a couple of years ago, spent a season at Louisville, and is now back in Utah, where he had a great deal of success in Salt Lake City. And now he's got a player that I'm guessing he was familiar with, given that Williams is from Las Vegas. Not that he would have recruited him, but he was probably familiar with him and what he could do from his high school days in Vegas.
Sure, you would expect so, and you know, he's the real deal. I mean, you look at just the basic mechanics of the way that he runs, the explosion with which he runs, the way that he reads the holes and the blocks that he has out in front of him. He is a solid running back who has the kind of stamina and the ability to carry the ball a lot. 5'8", 189. He's not a very big kid, but he runs much bigger than he is, but without having a whole lot of contact. You know, I played with a guy, Bill, when I was with the Broncos, Glenn Milburn, small, shifty guy, and he was the first guy I was around who had the ability to kind of flinch at the last moment before the contact, where he was small, but he never took a hard hit.
And that's Joe Hill taking it to the right side and taking it into the end zone for another Utah State touchdown.
And so Kerwin Williams, I see, has that same kind of ability. And man, look at the blocking downfield by the wide receivers and everybody getting involved here. And then when he gets hit, contact, boom, 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 boom. He carries 4 Rams into the end zone with him. Made our cameraman go blurry. He got hit so hard.
Hill's a sophomore. I mentioned that Williams was a sophomore. He's actually a senior. He's been waiting his time, having played behind Robert Turbin, who's now in the NFL. And so that point after makes it 31-12. That's an impressive drive by Utah State after Colorado State had all the momentum. But credit the big kickoff return by Jacobs all the way into Ram territory, and they capitalized with another touchdown. Scored the touchdown for Utah State to make it 31-12. It's his 6th touchdown of the season. He had 3 TDs in the opening game against Southern Utah. And that kickoff taken by Lee Clubb, and Clubb's going to take a knee. The delivery of tonight's game is brought to you by Marco's Pizza, the home of Touchdown Tuesdays. Yeah, let's go back to the play we saw in the 3rd quarter, engineered by Colorado State, the one you drop at the playground.
Yeah, that was a beautiful play. You had the reverse handoff, the pitch back to the quarterback, the throw back to the wide receiver, and that was a big play. Very creative, Jim McElwain, and they just need to come up with a lot more of, well, not necessarily trick plays. They just need to come up with a lot more execution.
Grayson wanting to throw, trying to buy some time. He does not have the elusiveness of Chucky Keaton, and he just flips that ball out of bounds and survives to face 2nd down and 10. 7.5 to play. Utah State with the sizable lead, comfortable lead. Just a few moments ago, Reggie, it seemed like we had the potential for us. We had a 17-6 game, and Colorado State had the momentum. They turned a couple of interceptions, and they stopped the Aggie offense. And Jim McElwain's thinking, well, let's do some strategy here, go for two, and now it's 31-12.
Right. This game has gotten out of hand immediately, but I think it just shows you how good a team Utah State is. I mean, we're talking about these two programs, and they are similar in a way, but they're about 3 years apart, and that ball nearly picked off. That was a dangerous pass. Will Davis almost was stepped in front of that and grabbed it. But, you know, these programs are about 3 years apart. You know, when Anderson took over, things were really bad at Utah State. They hadn't been to a bowl game in a long time. They hadn't had winning seasons. They were just struggling. And in 3 years' time, he has grown these kids up. He's got a mature staff right now, or a mature group of players. They play like a team. They bought into his program, and they look like a contender, a solid, strong BCS team that can compete for an FBS team rather than compete for the WAC title. I think 3 years down the road, that's what we would expect to see out of Colorado State. They're not there right now. They have a lot of growing to do, but that's the track that they expect to be on 3 years from now.
Zach Vigil with another sack of Garrett Grayson, and that's going to force another Colorado State punt. So Vigil just rushing past the offensive line.
Yeah, you know, sometimes the offensive line should be like a vault at a bank, not like a screen door on your house.
Fair catch called for by Webb at the 41-yard line.
Fair catch by
Katodiakis is probably getting a little tired. 42-yard kick.
42 yards.
Looks a little gimpy as he's coming off the field.
Yeah. You punt that many times in a game.
7 times today.
Is that all?
That's all.
Oh, I thought it was 22.
Well, credit Gary Anderson. You've been talking about it a lot, where his program is. And you got to give a lot of respect to Utah State. And the same situation is going to exist at Colorado State. Jack Graham is the one who hired Jim McElwain. He's going to give him time. These are programs that it's somewhat refreshing in college football in that there is a want to win, but not a must win. Now, you look at what's going on at Auburn. Folks are already upset with Gene Cizik, just 2 years removed from a national championship. There is the must-win now mentality that if you don't get it done within a year or two, that you have success,
Robert Marshall,
a couple of not so much success after you might win, then they're after you. At a place like Utah State or Colorado State, I think one of the more modern examples is Missouri. For so many years, 4 or 5 years, Gary Pinkel was really under a lot of fire at Missouri. Now it's a BCS conference school, and now in the SEC. But he was given time. And once that 4th or 5th year, you got a Brad Smith and a Chase Daniel, you got the right quarterback in there for 2-3 seasons, you got some players around, your recruiting is established, and then you have a lot of success and stability. And at a Utah State, there's not the pressure necessarily. And I don't think there's the pressure at Colorado State. They want to win.
Right.
They want a competitive team that hits hard. You don't want to play them again. That's the kind of mentality. And you have the opportunity after 3-4 years that you might have success. You go to what was it, the Potato Bowl a year ago, they're thrilled.
Right,
yeah,
sure.
They say 7-6.
Absolutely.
It's all parades in Logan.
Well, you know, Gary Anderson and his Utah State crew, they're off to their best start since 1978. You know, if they win this game, which we're assuming they are, that's a 3-1 start. They went 5-0 in 1978. It has been since then that they've had a start this good.
3rd down and 1 on this drive, right at midfield. 5:28 and counting down. And that is Williams, and he's not going to get there. In fact, he's going to lose a yard. Popped out. No, that's not Williams. Beg your pardon. That's 27. Robert Marshall, a junior out of Dallas, Texas, who's turned away. I've lost a couple of yards back into Aggie territory to the 48-yard line. And Utah State's going to punt the ball away. We've not seen Bennett out there all that much. Tyler Bennett.
He looks rested.
Well, he needed a break. He punted 19 times the last 2 games. So he's enjoying a bit of a respite here in Fort Collins. 4th down and 2. And the fair catch called for by Hensley at the 9-yard line. He fielded a punt back in the first half inside the 5. And that drew a conversation and a counseling session from Jim McElwain. See if he gets another one after that. To take a look at the results of our Heart of the Game presented by Medical Center of the Rockies. Heart of the Game goes to Shaq Bell, who's been involved in a couple of turnovers, the fumble recovery at the end of the first half, and he picked off a pass early in the second half. That led to 3 Colorado State points. Rams have the ball, first down and 10 from the 9 after the 42-yard punt by Bennett. And that goes off the hands of Vincent, who got a touchdown pass earlier.
But man, what a throw. Grayson, every once in a while, you see his arm, and he can throw a rope. That is on target, on pace. You know, he doesn't do it all the time, but when he does, it looks good.
And we watched Garrett Grayson last year, and we saw Pete Thomas, the former quarterback here at Colorado State, who was pegged as the future of this program. He certainly had the Hollywood look about him if you're going to create a quarterback, but he did not have all that strong of an arm. And we would see Grayson last year. He didn't play all that much, but when he came into the games either late or certainly late in the season when he took over the start, there was some zip on the passes that we hadn't seen from Pete Thomas, who has since transferred to North Carolina State. And I think we were in the camp that thought, you know, this guy might be better.
Right. Yeah, he definitely has. And I think they just got to get him into plays where it's just 3-step drop and throw the ball. Because when he's not thinking too much, he's just making a read and throwing the ball. He is very accurate. He throws a very hard, strong ball. Nice.
That's to Joe Hensley. And he steps out of bounds at the 37-yard line. That on 3rd down and 3. And the Rams hustling up to the line to keep this drive going, a gain of 16.
Another crossing route. And, Utah State has struggled all day long trying to contain these crossing routes by the Rams. And here's another one that works for a big first down.
4 minutes to go. Morris is in the backfield. Grayson steps away from one and throws that toward Kevon Cartwright, but out of bounds and complete.
Nice movement to get away from the rush there.
After this, Colorado State takes on Air Force in Colorado Springs. We'll have that for you on the air. They won't have their bye until October 20th. CSU won its season opener against Colorado 22-17, but losses back-to-back to North Dakota State and San Jose State, and they entered this game 1-2. Pass complete to Lovett, and he gets out of bounds. Just shy of the necessary yardage for a first down. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Utah State takes on UNLV next year. Like Colorado State, they'll all be in the Mountain West. Currently, Gary Anderson's team is playing an unfavorable stretch, 4 of 5 games on the road. It's Joe Brown. And did he get the necessary yard for the first down? They say yes, he did. No measurement.
You look at those 5 games. They were at Wisconsin. Now they're at Colorado State. They have a home game. They will have a home game versus UNLV. Then they'll be on the road at Brigham Young, another big game for them there in Utah, and then on the road at San Jose State. San Jose State looks pretty good this year.
Grayson is smothered from behind. 21, Brian Sweet. And number 99, B.J. Larson, combining to bring him down. No gain, or I guess no loss, actually, getting to the quarterback. So 2nd down and 10. This Utah State defense held Wisconsin to just 234 total yards last week. And you look at that game and the stats, and you wonder, how in the world did Utah State lose that? Pass intended for Vincent. He was in a race with
receiver Dominique Vincent.
Now 3rd down coming up.
That play right there, Vincent running down the sideline, and he is right on the sideline. In practice, they have red lines drawn on the field, so the guys know to not hold the red line. Don't get too close to the sideline. Give your quarterback room to throw. And Vincent right there just didn't give anywhere for the ball to be. And so these are all learning lessons that this team, they'll be coached up on this when they watch the film, and then they've got another test next week at Air Force to see if they've learned any lessons. And, you know, it's a tough school.
Grayson flips that pass on 3rd down and 10, and it's complete to Thomas Kaufman, and that'll move the chains. Gain is to the 40.
What a throw. I mean, he's turned sideways, he's off balance, and just throws it right in there.
Kaufman out of Austin, Texas. Sophomore receiver. So 1st down and 10, and again, Grayson has pressure, and this time he's going to go down. Well, he attracts a lot of attention because he loves to hold on to the football, as you pointed out throughout the night.
So he will continue to rack up sacks because he's trying to make, and he's, it's the Ben Roethlisberger approach to football. Ben holds on to the ball a long time, and he extends the play, and he ends up making plays down the field. But, it's tricky to play quarterback that way.
He's sacked 5 times, but he gets the completion. And that's another Colorado State 1st down. Grayson was 3 of 9 for 12 yards in the 1st half. He looked like a much different quarterback in the 2nd half. He's now 20 of 38 for 181 yards.
Utah State, 2nd charge timeout, a 25-second timeout.
And Gary Anderson is pretty upset with his crew out there, and I understand why. I mean, Utah State has checked out of this game a little bit. I mean, they've looked up at the scoreboard and they're like, yeah, this is in hand, and they're just relaxed back there on defense. They are sitting back, letting the passes get completed in front of them and coming up and making the tackles, but he's upset. He wants to see them finish this game.
Well, there were just enough Utah State mistakes last week, which is that they can point to. And if you do, you see the game, you read about the game, you look at the final numbers, and it does look for in every situation. Utah State should have beaten Wisconsin. Now, is this a Wisconsin team of what we saw last year with Russell Wilson? No, but it's still Wisconsin,
right?
And it was still in Madison, exactly. Yeah. But there were breakdowns with a penalty. There was the missed field goal in the final 6 seconds of the game. Just a few little things here and there that the details were not cleaned up, and as a result, they end up going home with a 16-14 loss and a whole lot of woulda, shoulda, couldas.
Right, sure. And I think he's upset because he's seeing the same thing in this game. Here's a game they have in hand, and they've kind of checked out. The last 5 minutes of this game, they have checked out. These are the moments where they're going to beat the Wisconsins, the Utahs, which they did this year, BYU in a couple of weeks. They had the game against Oklahoma where they almost won. If they're going to win those games, it's these final moments of the games where they need to learn to finish.
Well, Colorado State is finishing strong. That's a touchdown pass of 29 yards from Garrett Grayson to Marquise Law. And it comes with 1:43 left to play.
And when you really start looking at teams, if you watch the highlights every week and you watch games, the difference between the great teams and the mediocre teams is really just the ability to finish. The great teams find a way to win close games, and when they are ahead of another team, they find a way to keep their foot on their throat until the thing is over. They just don't let up.
Longest reception in Marquise Law's career. It goes for 29 yards, and it ends with a touchdown. Point after try by Jared Roberts is good, and it's 31-19. Well, if you're Colorado State, you may want to see if there's a way to not play the first quarter and just pick up the game in the second quarter. You've been outscored 51-0 in the first 15 minutes. We've seen them put together 2 very long drives, a 15-play drive, 75 yards, resulted in a touchdown earlier. That's a 12-play, 91-yard drive. And as we've said, Utah State checked out just a little bit. And Gary Anderson has a whole legal pad full of notes to take back to practice on Monday to talk to his team about in terms of the way it has finished this game. But still, he's coming on the road. His team has bounced back after a disappointing loss, but the expectations are now different in year 4 in this program. So he's going to be able to go, okay, we're 3-1 for the first time, as you said, since 1978. But we could be 4-0, Let's make sure that we don't make some of the same mistakes that we've seen the last couple of weeks. But Colorado State, first quarters have been disastrous.
Sure.
Quarters 2, 3, and 4, a little more competitive.
As soon as this game is over, McElwain should call Air Force and say, listen, we're not going to play the first quarter.
Let's pick things up about 12:35. What do you say?
Let's do it.
We won't be there at 12:05 for kickoff. Time now for the drive of the game, presented by Coe's BMW. Just a short drive down I-25, exit 259 Crossroads in Loveland. Drive of the game, and go back a little earlier in which Colorado State capitalized on 2 fourth down conversions, including that pass from Grayson to Vincent.
2 beautiful passes on 4th down, and you get to see what the coaches see in Grayson. Just his potential. He's got a strong arm. He's got confidence on those 2 fourth down plays. There was no hesitation about him at all. He made the read and just delivered the ball. We've seen it a few other times in this game, and so he keeps showing flashes of the quarterback that he's becoming, and I'm excited for where he gets to this year and then to see over the next couple of seasons.
So the onside kick coming from the Rams, and I'm not sure that thing's going to go 10 yards, but the kicker just got rocked, and there's a penalty flag coming.
How can they call a penalty on that?
And that is Roberts, who peels himself off the field turf.
How can they call a penalty on that? The guy is running after the ball. It's an onside kick. You can't come up and just level him?
Well, helmet to helmet can be called right there, but that is getting rocked. And
he's not a receiver. He's not a quarterback. He's not a defenseless player. He's a guy who's jogging down the field, not looking at the...
He's a guy who's hearing the phone ring right now is what he is.
I don't see how that can be a penalty.
That's Jake Doty, a starting
foul,
linebacker.
Unnecessary roughness, number 51 of the receiving team. 15-yard penalty. First down.
That is crazy to me. It's an onside kick. A guy is running down the middle of the field like he's got a shopping cart and he's not looking at anybody else. I mean, what are you supposed to do? He's right next to the ball. You're not allowed to hit a guy right next to the ball. That is crazy. I don't understand that at all.
Roberts isn't understanding much right now. It's good to see him up because that dude got rocked.
Yeah. That's the strange one. I mean, we've seen in this game, there were 2 helmet-to-helmet hits, one on Grayson that did not get called. We saw the one on the receiver,
on
I think it might have been Levitt, or Gray, that did not get called.
Well,
and then
the one that did get called didn't look like it was
right.
Could have been called that way, given the way Gray went after Austin to dislodge the ball in the first half.
And now this on an onside kick, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. I mean, you're in the middle of the field, right by the ball.
At times, football can be a compassionate game. It was a kicker.
That's
Reggie,
true.
It was a kicker.
Listen, I've always maintained kickers are like fine china. You bring them out for special occasions, you put them away right away. You don't hand it to your 5-year-old and say, "Here, eat on this." And so if you're going to have an onside kick where your kicker is going to tap it and chase it down and just looking at the ball, then you better have 5 hungry guys in front of him going to block for him to make sure that he's not, because that was a weird thing. Nobody's blocking ahead of him.
But Utah State does get the ball. It did not go the requisite 10 yards. The penalty moves the ball back to the 45-yard line, and with the 1:43 to go, Gary Anderson wants his team to get out of here with the win so we can start to put a plan together for next week and then get ready for UNLV, which is homecoming in Logan. And again, Colorado State will be on the road at Air Force to open up Mountain West play. That game is set for a noon kickoff. So the Aggies will be 3-1 for the first time since 1978.
That is amazing. Can I mention a pet peeve? Now, it was 1st and 10. Now it's 2nd and 11. As a running back, I was like, how come in this victory, we've worked so hard to get those yards, and we get in victory formation, we get 4 or 5 yards back to them. Why can't you kneel down real nice and tight? They're right up behind the center.
Well, Jim McElwain's just looking for somebody to listen right now. Hey, and more about Utah State and the success. Last year, 7-6, but a little deeper look into those numbers. This program is now 8-10, 8-2 in its last 10 games.
Wow.
Yeah, so 8-2 in its last 10 games. It's a program that's now won 4 of its last 5 road games. The only losses in that 10-game stretch to Ohio in a thrilling bowl game in December, when Utah State certainly was happy to be there, but very competitive. And Ohio ended up winning that game. It was a thriller late. And most of these games for Utah State the last season and a half have been decided by a touchdown or less. So they're used to be. This is a blowout for them, 31 to 19.
Sure.
But the other loss was to Wisconsin, and that's a game that, and both those games they should have won.
I mean, this is a team that has come of age. I mean, Gary Anderson has done a fantastic job over the past 4 seasons. He has grown them into the franchise that they are right now, and they're playing some really good football.
Well, Utah State has come to Fort Collins, and Gary Anderson's team has defeated Jim McElwain's team by a score of 31 to 19. Colorado State falls to 1-3 on the year, with conference play coming up next week at Air Force. Utah State, as we mentioned, for the first time since 1978, is 3-1. All right, let's check in with Natalie one more time.
Coach, no question, tough loss, but this last touchdown showed me something, and it talks about something that we talked about early in the week. You called that something a loser mentality, and he called that if you start the John Madden game and you quit when you're losing.
That's right.
That is a loser mentality. You said my kids don't have it. That touchdown to me proved that.
Well, I tell you what, our guys fight, and you know, they're competing. We've got to figure out how to make some plays and get off the field on third downs and make some plays on offense. And you know what? We're going to go back. We're going to go to work. We're going to stay course. We're building a solid foundation. Our guys are doing everything we ask of them, and we're just going to keep moving forward.
Coach, you faced a really well-balanced Utah State team. I mean, they came at you in all directions on every side. What do you take from this game?
Well, I tell you what, Gary's done a really good job with that team, and yet, you know what we're going to take from this game is how many plays we left out there, and was it us or was it them? And so the important thing is when we go back to work here tonight is that we understand, was it us or was it them?
And was it us or them?
We'll find out it was us.
It was us. All right.
Thank you,
Coach. All right. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Natalie. And boy, thanks, Coach McElwain. That's a very candid conversation for a coach at the end of the game. We appreciate his time. But tonight, it belongs to the Aggies of Utah State, who have defeated Colorado State 31-19. Well, Utah State led 17-0 at halftime. Colorado State looked much better in the third and fourth quarters, but still it's the Aggies who will head back to Logan, Utah with a 31-19 victory over CSU. It's time now for the results of our player of the game presented by Poudre Valley Hospital. Thanks for everybody who took time to place a vote. And most folks voted for Tommy Morris.
Tommy Morris, the freshman running back out of Odessa, Texas, 8 carries, 76 yards. But look at that, 9.5-yard average. Man, what a pleasant surprise this kid has turned out to be for the Colorado State Rams. And so he's a true freshman. They will get him into the mix, but he looks like he could be a workhorse. The Colorado State Rams lose this one 31-19, but maybe find a future star.
Now we expected to see much more Chris Woke. We didn't. Donnell Alexander didn't play. Tommy Morris, the star tonight. Half Moon. Oh, well.
Touchdown Tuesday.
31-19, the final score. Utah State picks up the victory over Colorado State in Fort Collins. Take a look back at the highlights. And really for Colorado State, Reggie, we didn't see many highlights until the second half.
No, we did not, but in the second half, they came alive. That was a beautiful pass on a fourth down to Vinson. And then late in the game, they get another touchdown. And, you know, they came alive later in the game. Obviously, the Utah State had laid off a little bit by then, but they improved total yardage. That's an okay number. They can live with that. Passing yardage, they can live with that. So they end up with some numbers they can live with, but they've got some improvement to do if they want to compete with the likes of Utah State.
Got to protect the quarterback a little bit better, and the star for the Aggies, no doubt about it, Kerwin Williams, 21 carries, 205 yards on the ground against the Colorado State defense. So that's the final score here in Fort Collins. Once again, Utah State, against its future Mountain West Conference rival, comes to Fort Collins and defeats the Rams by a score of 31-19. Now, for Reggie Rivers, Natalie Vickers, and our entire crew, I'm Bill Dolman saying so long Our final score once again tonight, Utah State 31, Colorado State 19. Our next telecast will be Saturday, September 29th, when the Rams head down I-25 to take on the Falcons of Air Force in Colorado Springs. This has been a presentation of UPN 20, your home this season for Colorado State Rams football. Have a good night, everybody.